Is that working?
Hang on.
Mhm.
All right. How's it now, guys? I'll bet you it's a little bit better. All right.
Okay, let's try this.
Take 3.
Third time. Or as Mark says, third time. He was in the radio business, so they have their own signals. All right. Oh, I'm so sorry. I have been sitting here for 10 minutes, almost 12 minutes talking. And the first time I hadn't hit go live. The second time, for some reason, the sound wasn't working. And luckily, my wonderful IT man came down and saved me. So let me see. Hi, I like the creative Monkey Mary. That's wonderful. Lisa's here. Joe Sows. Oh, it's so good to see you. And then I saw Debbie earlier. There's Laura. And, oh, this is wonderful. So, okay, we're set. Now let me see if I can start again. All right. Number 1, it's supposed to be by Tuesday or Wednesday. It is supposed to. Hi, Debbie. Now you're not our other Debbie. I think we have a new Debbie. If we do, I'm so excited. Yay. Okay. But I got here right on time, gals. Let me tell you. Um, and I even went out and picked some of my budlias. This is the butterfly bush, and this one's the black knight, real deep purple. And there is Betty here. Aw, I am so happy to see all of you. Bonnie is here. Yay. So, the first time I forgot to hit go live. I hit start streaming, but you also have to push go live. So many things to remember, and I'm 70 now, okay? But anyway, be careful in this heat wave if you're going to be in it that's coming up this week. And oh, I am glad you're here. Oh, that's wonderful. New Debbie. So I used to be Debbie, but when my energy levels started going down, I shortened it to Deb. And I figured in 10 more years, I'll just be duh. So, but Debbie Reynolds was too hard to live up to. So anyway, but it's so nice to meet you. Okay, so I am, be careful with the heat wave. I told Mark, if the air conditioning can't keep up with it, we can always come down here in my basement studio and he can help me clean it. I don't think he was that excited about that suggestion. He's going to make sure that air conditioning unit works. But anyway, yeah, isn't that nice to have a new Debbie? And in fact, Debbie, I will give you our time. Whoops, I have to click on it first. Okay, our time to quilt at gmail.com. And that way you can send pictures of things you're working on, or if you'd like an invitation to join our free groups IO, where I keep all my free patterns. We can chat, you can post pictures, whatever. So if you send me an email to that, I usually am pretty good. In fact, I got to speak with Nazarene this week, and it was so good to talk to her again. So sometimes when you've been a member of the group, it'll if your computer acts up or for whatever reason, sometimes you can't get back into the group's IO. So just send me an email to that email address, and then, oh, good, you are part of the group. Yay, yay, yay. Okay. People, to keep your sister-in-law in our thoughts. She was in a bad. Oh, honey, I'm so spine broken in 3 places. We will definitely keep her close. Plus 3 broken ribs. Oh my gosh, I hope she didn't collapse her lung. Oh, thank you. Oh, so But yeah, oh, Bonnie, I'm so sorry about that. That's terrible. But be careful in the heat wave. We're just going to have a very calm July 4th and just stay in the cool and just relax. So, in fact, it's so funny. The temperatures we've been having, it's the humidity is a choker here. If I could easily turn that camera on, I'd show you all the moisture on the windows because humidity is so big. But I'm trying not to complain because we have been in a severe drought and we've actually had some rain here and there. So I'm trying to be very grateful. So anyway, and okay, so this week, Thursday we were busy. We had the two little dogs groomed. Then Gromit, my dog that he's my boy, he had his 14th 14-year-old vet visit. The vet said he's in great shape. He needs a dental. And so she said, let's do the blood work, which is very expensive, but the blood work came back beautifully. And so he is now scheduled for July 7th to have his dental. But he's my heart dog. He's the most important dog I've ever had. I'm more special. He just adores me and he goes everywhere with me. And he's lost most of his hearing. So I'm teaching him some basic sign language and it's helping. It's really helping. And I've learned to stomp my foot on the floor if I'm leaving the room because he can get a little worried. He wants to know where I am all the time and be with me. So, oh, you wait till you see Debbie's quilts, our Debbie Holt. Oh my gosh. I opened the first one and I went, oh, it's so pretty. Then I opened the second picture and it was a wonderful pelican. I'm like, well, gee. So she's very talented. We have some wonderful, talented ladies in this group. So, and I think I've got a new picture from Miss Bonnie and some other pictures that I didn't show you last week. So we're doing pretty good. Oh, but Thursday, in the middle of all those dog visits, I also had my first checkup to see how I'm doing after pneumonia. And I'm doing great. And my lungs sound great, she said. My numbers, my blood pressure, and everything were great. My heart sounds good. She understands about the still working on building up my energy level. So that's something I have to work on. And I'm going to do it. I'm going to get back on my elliptical trainer and work. And then when I get my energy back, I really, oh, if I say it out loud, I have to do it. I really want to join the Y so I can do a lot of walking. But I've noticed since I've been sick and had to rest so much that, my walking muscles are tight. So we'll work on that. But, oh, and my glucose, my A1C was great, better than it's been in 3 years. So, it's a good thing. So, anyway, then Friday, I took my Mancuso virtual learning, and so it was 6 hours long. I was totally worn out. I was tired halfway through, but I made it through. It was a very bad pneumonia. I mean, I ran a fever for a month and I was sick for 2 months. And so it's taking me a while, but I'm so glad to be back in the world of the living. But I had a great teacher on our Friday Mancuso. I have the quilt over here. We did the most interesting things like taking Tyvek, not the house wrap, that has chemicals in it, taking the Tyvek like the Postal Service uses in their mailing envelopes and painted them to the colors of rocks and then used a heat gun and they bubbled up like they were rocks. So we used all kinds of other interesting things And so I'm not going to tell you probably the full extent of the class this week because I'm still very tired. In fact, when I woke up this morning, I said, I don't think I'm going to do a show. I'm so tired from running for 2 days straight. I just needed a break. So, and I haven't been in my hammock in days, and I need to spend some time in my hammock. But anyway, but it was a good week. The class was good. It was called Fantasy Waterfall. So she was teaching us how to use all of these. Do you know you can even take tulle with a heat gun and have it crunch up and form different things like waves for water. So it is really fascinating. Um, then this week, I had told you I am so in love with um lino block carving and keep today short. Oh, thank you. Thank you, sweetheart. Oh, Debbie's got your nephew stopping by. Of course. Do not worry. Real family, in physical family counts the most. But I have used about 6 of my 12 carving blocks, and I was getting nervous, and I noticed it was really hard to find them on Temu. And so I found on Temu a local, just so you have to pay the shipping. But I got 20 blocks. When I showed Mark that I found them for $1 a block, he said get 2 because I just dearly love it. And in telling you that, I wanted to tell you that I did some research. I watched videos, I read up, I looked for block printing ink. And because I can block print on fabric because I have my fabric medium and acrylic paints. Well, block printing ink is so expensive for a decent sized tube. It's like $10. It's very expensive. And I am not, at this stage of my life, I'm not in the market to spend a lot of money. I want to use up most of what I've got, all of that. So I looked up and said, how can you turn acrylic paints, or can you turn acrylic paints into a decent block printing ink? Well, last week when I was doing the block printing with you, I was trying to get the ink a little more dry. That was the opposite of what I should have been doing. So that's one of the reasons I said, I think I need to do some more research. So I found that if you can get a certain kind of medium, and it's called an extender, and it will keep the acrylic paint um, soft enough so that you have more time to work with it, and it'll thicken it a little bit. And so that's what you need to do. You can also do things like add a little bit of flour to the paint to thicken it. I don't know about some of these, but the computer, when you type in on your Google machine, it'll give you all kinds of ideas. So I ordered a tube of extender for like $5.99 from Walmart. It isn't here yet because it had to come from an art supply store. But I got a tube of that, and I'm gonna, as soon as it comes in, I'm gonna play with it and see if it really will help me get a nice clear print. But I love, love, love doing this carving. And it is it's fun. And now I want to be able to use it to make note cards. So at Walmart, I also looked up and got a pack of cardstock pastel colors because they were real pretty for about $5. And so that's up with my printer. I should bring it down here. But anyway, I don't need it by my printer because I'm going to print them. But I would like to make some note cards. So when I have a special event that comes up, they get a little something, a little gift just from me, one of my carvings that I've printed on the front of the card. So I got that. And so I'm excited. So I've got new rubber. I should really rename this show the Quilting and Craft Site because I love so many things. Anything that's at all artistic, I love. So let me see. The next thing, so I got those. I did not work. I'm so close to finishing my rose art quilt. I didn't work on it at all. In fact, I need to make a confession. The first part of the week and every evening, I have been obsessed with this mosaic quilt. I adore, I love making these mosaic quilts. So I have been working on this practically nonstop. And I haven't dusted the house. I mean, I'm in one of those. I'm in one of those obsessive periods where I'm working on this mosaic and I don't want to stop. If I could, I would. Oh, my face is frozen too. Okay, so I think we're back. I have no idea what.
Something with that one camera.
Yeah, it's mm, maybe the camera's the problem. Who knows? All right, so we're back. Yay. Okay, now I'll go back to the detail camera, and it better not act up. So far, sounds good. Okay, here we go. Now this is locked up. Oh, gee. Oh, gee. What do I do now? If it's not one thing, it's another. Come on. Now, hold on. I'm trying to get. trying to get this unstuck. Mark, if you hear me right now, the detail camera is frozen. And I forgot what we're supposed to do. Okay, sound's back, but detail's frozen.
Okay, so highlight the camera.
Highlight, which is this one right there.
I think it's the top one.
Okay.
Go to properties.
This.
No, the gear. There.
Okay.
Deactivate.
Okay.
Now reactivate.
Thank you.
Camera's working. Now go back to your main camera.
Here.
Here.
Uh-huh.
Do the same thing. Deactivate and reactivate.
Oh, gee.
No.
That's right.
Gear.
Yeah.
Deactivate.
Okay.
Reactivate.
Okay.
Now you should be good.
Okay. I think we've got it. Let me see.
Now go to your detail camera if you want. And it should be working.
Yep. Everything's working, I think. Yay. Oh, look at you, Mary. You're so cute.
More troubleshooting to be.
That's exactly. It's just, you know, you spend $70 on a camera and it's... All right. So here we go. Here is what I have so far. Let me turn it this way. Okay. So I'll show you all my steps. Remember last week I had been making, oh, thank you. It has been so much fun, ladies. I love it. Oh, I keep some tacky glue handy because sometimes if I don't have a good enough, some of these pieces of Mosaic don't have the fusible all the way to the edge. Let me see if I can find one to show you. But when I cut them out, some of them I cut off of the edge, and right there where you see the blue fabric, there's no fusible. But so I was working until maybe Wednesday night. I started putting some of the flowers on. Now last week I showed you how I had taken the fusible and I had drawn to scale. I had drawn the pattern out, and I said I needed to do that to cut the leaves and the flowers. Well, that was not true because I already had the fusible on the back of my fabrics. So the fusible is there. What I needed to do is to know the shape of it. So what I did when I figured it out while we were visiting and talking, okay, when I figured it out, I said, what I need to do is to, whoops, my glue is dripping a little here. What I need to do is to print out the page on freezer paper, and here's page 6. And so what I did is I took freezer paper and cut it into an 8.5 by 11, the same size as printer paper. And then I took a piece of printer paper and to put the freezer paper shiny side to the other paper, I ironed it on, which then made it stable enough to go through the printer. And then what I did is I copied the real page, like page 6, onto the freezer paper. And then after that, you just peel off the freezer paper, and now you have a pattern. And since the fusible was already on the fabrics, all I had to do, and I will show you by doing this, I also took my golden threads paper and made a pattern so I know I'm putting things in the right place. But let me show you what I did. I take the freezer paper and I cut out the patterns that I need. So right here, I need a leaf right like this. Now this leaf is going to be a bright and bright fabric leaf because it's going to be in the sun. I decided which way I wanted my sun to be coming from because one of the things is I really like playing with reality and light and all of that. And I decided that my sun would be coming from this direction. So, and I'll show you up here with the flowers. See how these petals were lighter? These were darker. Trying to show a little, this had a lot, but a few dark ones, light and then dark. So, I'm trying to get that idea of the light and dark. Now, let me find my leaf fabrics. So, since this one, and this is the bottom page, so it might not be overly bright. It's not setting up totally by itself in the sun. So I pick a nice color that I want. Let me come down. I pick what I think is a bright, but not too bright since it's not on the top row of flowers. And I use my clover iron and this little thing. In fact, I need to clean the blade. Look at that. That is dirty. But this little iron has come in so handy. For the first 20 years, I didn't even use it. But I held on to it. I thought at some point, because see, when I first started quilting, I thought, I'll never do applique. And guess what? Then I said I would never do English paper piecing or hexagons. Well, guess what? All right, so I'm taking some of this iron off, which I happen to have. And you just make sure you've got enough paper towel between the iron and you. And you just rub it, rub it, rub it. This one's probably going to take more time than I have today. But you just rub, trying to get all of that adhesive. And the reason it's so dark is it is adhesive. But another thing, don't be breathing these fumes. So that's all I'm going to do right now. But I just wanted to show you that it works. But if you don't let it build up quite as much as I have, Mark will say, do you have something burning? Because it does, all that adhesive does add up. Okay, so let me carefully pull this back down. So this Dritz iron is wonderful. And a friend of mine, her husband, made these wonderful stands and she sold them at a retreat and I grabbed it. Because that is wonderful to try to keep that thing stable. So they come with some little piece of plastic. No, get yourself a nice big heavy piece of wood and a thick piece of wire and bend it to a nice holder, because the last thing you want to do is to get burnt by that. It is super hot. So I am so glad I bought that when I did. So I ironed the freezer paper on top of this fabric. So now I have the pattern, and when I go to use it, I just peel off the back. so it exposes the fusible. I put it in the right place. I iron it on, take off the front label. Don't take off the front label until you know exactly where you're going to put it because you will forget. But I've got all these different greens here. So, oops, let me put this in a baggie. Now, I brought an extra baggie. Let me see if I can find it. Huh. Well, let me see. I brought an extra baggie, but it might be still in my basket. Um, okay. I don't know what I did with it, so I will make use of one of our class baggies, and because I keep all the pieces separate, I'll show you. I have each page has a separate little baggie of prepared pieces. So now I have the first of, and see all the different greens to just give me an a choice of what I want where. And these I've decided that I'm going to use some small baggies, real small baggies, and save all of my cut up pieces of mosaic because thank you, Mark. Oh, he brought me some baggies. He's so sweet. And so he so I will keep all of these and then I'll put them in a bigger clear bag so that I can see them and know put them in a safe place because I love doing mosaics. Now I did want to show you right here that this is what I'm doing for the stems. I cut the piece out. It has fusible. I fold in the side. So when I put this on the quilt, because I didn't want this stem to be raw. So I'll be showing you that. But then I've got all my different shades of pinks into purples. But let me show you. Unfortunately, when I go upstairs today later and work on this, what I do is I segregate all the different colors so I'm not looking at a jumbled mess because I wanted to make sure that I did. Here is my light stripe. Whoops, let me bring this back up. Here is my light stripe through just to give some sparkle. And then I make sure to put a mix of light to dark blues so that the background sparkles. Now, I do want to say one thing. I'm going to outline these petals with either a dark thread or, like right here, I used a micron marker, but I am going to outline these because I kind of wish I had chosen a less intensely blue background so that these flowers would naturally pop off. So one thing I learned once I put these down, and I may replace some of these petals, is I've gone darker with my petals because when they're too light, they tend not to compete well with the background. So, and they are the stars, not the background. But I do want to show you. So when you make your mosaic, remember to choose your colors wisely so you're not competing. And I should have used more sky blues with just a few little pops of color. But I love color so much, I usually tend to make my art pieces too intense. So now what I'm going to show you just how I put this background together. And so here, whoops, I'll bring you closer in now. So you know that I took and I took a chalk pencil and a ruler and I made my grid. Okay. But I've got to be honest, in making this grid, I haven't always stuck perfectly with it. Some of the pieces were acting a little, were seemed too small, some seemed too big. Sometimes I've kind of shifted as I felt I needed to. So you might do that too, but try your best to keep your lines straight and even. So here is the fusible. See the shiny fusible on the back? And this fusible is a sewable. I forgot to get the package again. I keep forgetting. I've got to write it on the information. But I made some of my squares. I like making them a little bigger so I can cut them down to size. So what I do is I just kind of place it and look, this is still too long. So, and I try to keep them pretty straight and even. So now let's see. I gotta put my glasses on. So I'm putting this piece right here, and this looks good. Okay, so it's in line with these. Oh, another thing. I had a little, sometimes I had a little mistake, and I was like, this one's too long. Well, if you can, kind of pull up the edge like this, and then bring your scissors over and nip it off so it's not so long, because you think you're trying to be careful, but sometimes you get, you get a little too long, like this one right here. So what I found, sometimes it was too hard for me to try to pull up the edge, so I took a black marker and I shortened it. That easy. Just take the marker and make sure it's on there good, and it shortens it. Because this, I'm not doing this to show, I'm doing this to have fun, and uh, and to create art that makes me smile. So I get this placed pretty good. I keep one finger down on it. Then I get my iron, make sure it's still straight, like this. Iron it down, like this. Now let's say I was too far up. While it's still warm, you can kind of take your fingernail and drag it around just a little bit, and that's a good thing. So then, now that I've got this color, I need something a little darker. So I'll go over and pull up a dark piece. And I think, yep, I'm going to need to trim this a little bit. Now let's say this was missing some of the fusible, which it's not, but let's say it was. Then you just take a little bit of glue, the tacky glue, and put it on the part that didn't have fusible. Okay, let's see. Sometimes I turn them and see, will it fit better one way than the other? Like this, that's pretty good. So I hold my finger there to hold it in place, and then I bring over the iron. Whoops, don't do that. Oh, be careful that, now see right here, I'll show you. Right there, it goes down just a little. So while it's warm, you can kind of carefully stretch that fabric up a little to make it fit better. Now I'm going to do a light color. And then I'm going to show you about the flowers and their placement. All right. Need to trim it some more. Okay, and I'm pretty sure I need to trim the length too. And sometimes I save these little pieces, and if I've cut too much off, I can take off the paper back and I can iron it on it and check and make it longer. So I keep all my little scraps while I'm working just for that reason. Okay, I think this is going to be it. But just keep taking little cuts until it's just the right size. Some that I cut um some that I cut at first, the 5/8, they ended up being a little short or small when it came time to actually use them. So I've peeled off the paper and I put it in place, and I can smudge it around a little bit, but you end up then with a pile of these paperbacks and the little scraps. So I keep my trash can handy. And then see, this one is tilted down. I'm going to come in and warm it back up and see if I can stretch it. Oh, yeah. Now it looks much better. So just warm it back up and do a little bit of stretching. I have found, though, if you have to rip it up later, then you'll need to use some glue. And I just noticed this place right here. There's not enough of a space between these two. Now, I could try to rip it up, but I'm liable to hurt that. So I'm just going to bring my marker in, because what I try to do is show you real life quilting tips, because I don't aim for perfection. My biggest goal is fun. So there we go. Now I've got enough space around this one. All right, so let me just finish this row and then we'll go and do the fun part, which are the flowers. Now here's a really pretty piece. And let me check the size. It's easier to cut if you leave the paper on the back, but you can still cut it too if you take it off. Don't worry. All right, I'm going to cut some of this purple off just because if I have to lose part, I'm not sure how the purple, that's a lot of purple in that piece. So that looks pretty good. Get it spaced down. There we go. Oops. And let's say that you get some of the glue in the wrong place and you can't get it off, then take your black marker and cover it up. All right, one more piece just to end it with. Let's see. I think I'm going to go dark with this one. All right. Now, this last row will most likely be cut off, but just until then, I still put these pieces on. And it's really, it looks like, oh, so much fabric. It's not really. I cut approximately 5 by 7 inch pieces for all these different colors. And I put the fusible on them. And then I sat with my ruler and my cutting mat, and I just carefully cut 5/8. 5/8 is a little bit of a tricky one, but 1/2 inch is a little too small, I've found. So, okay, so now I've finished this row. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 more rows to go. So you just put on a good audio book or put on a good TV show, and that's what you do. All right, I'm going to now move all these little pieces of paper off. And oops, I just found one of the blocks that is peeled up. So I just take some tacky glue, rub it onto it, and place it down. That easy. Now don't forget that when we are all done with placing this, in fact, I should have done it before I put the flowers on. Oh well, I change my rules all the time. Just depends on if I'm having too much fun to stop and do something that's not as fun. But I'm going to put all these blocks away so I don't lose them. Also, when you have these laid out on your lap desk and you need to sneeze, turn your head to the side. You can ask me how I know, because these little puppies are very lightweight and off they will go flying. So Mark has Mark is very meticulous, and he will see one of these little blocks on the floor, and he is going to clean that up. And I love it. I love it. So I just accidentally peeled off a little addition here. So put it back in place and iron it back down. Now I do love fusible, but do know that most likely some of these over time will start to let go. The fusible is not permanent. Remember that. It's not permanent. So what I do, and this is going to seem crazy to you, but I take and I stitch through all of these. And this time I'll probably come along each row, top and bottom. Whoop, found another. It's hard sometimes to find these things because they kind of blend in. But I will take, and you can take invisible thread or you can take a neutral thread and you just come along and stitch through. And if you want to be really good, you can go up and down too. And so now this year, last year's mosaic, I cut the colors. I didn't overlap any fabrics. That was a lot of work. So this year, I like doing my petals in one piece. I find that trying to make them fit in the little square shape, rectangle shape, is so frustrating and it's unsettling to the eye. So I do a mosaic background and then I do a fusible applique with the flowers. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now, in fact, I can probably close this glue so it'll stop dripping everywhere. What did I do with the lid? I don't know. All right, well, I'll put this out of the way for now, and I will find that lid. Okay, and I have a little bit of glue on the iron stand right there if I need it. So it's good enough for now. Okay. Um, let me get this. I saw a little drop of glue that had gotten on the mosaic. All right. So, okay. Whoop. Let me just give this a light little shake because I patted it and a little tiny piece popped up on me. All right. So now the next, I've got page 1, page 2, page 3. Here is my page 3 of the flowers. So what I need to do now is, and I'm going to put my page 6. I hope I've shown you how to cut the pieces out, iron them onto the fabric. Depending, I do them one at a time because I want each one to have a slightly different color. All right, simple, simple, simple. I'm very honest with you. And so I'll move that over there. I'm going to pin this on so I know I have my roadmap. And I need page 3. Here's page 3. I like keeping this handy because before I go into where to put everything, I've got a little guide. So let me see. This, I'm going to use this page because this is part of the glued pattern. All right. So I've got this to look at. I'll put this over to the side so I can use it as reference. Now I'm going to take my, this is Golden Threads paper. You can buy at any sewing supply store or use any translucent paper that you might have. I've drawn the pattern and then I'm going to pin it in place. Okay. And this is going to be a road map. Now, I don't always get everything put just exactly. I do my best, but it definitely gives me a good hint as where things go. Okay, and I taped the paper to make it wide enough. Let me grab 2 more pins, and you pin it. Oh, you can't see me pinning it. You pin it. Okay, so I take it, pin it this way, horizontally, at the top edge. I'll pin one more. So I've put 4 across the top here. And that way, then you can go back up. Then you can take the pattern and you can fold it up like this. All right, so I need page 3 visible. So I'm going to then, just so it doesn't keep bothering me, I'm going to put a paper clip on the fold. Let me bring this up. Okay, it's all done. Trying to get everything in the view. All right. Making sure it's nice and flat. So see what I've done is I've folded the pattern up, put a little paper clip here, because I'm going to be working right here. Okay, so this is where I'm working. All right, so I do need to bring it down just a wee bit. But I find sometimes all of this can get a little overwhelming, so I'm just going to pin it out of the way. Okay. And this stuff is reasonably tough, I have found. So it'll do pretty good. All right. Now this, I need to move my agenda out of the way. All right. So laying it down flat, making sure it's in pretty good place. All right. So what I'm going to do first is get my stems that I've already cut out. These I didn't prepare, but that's good because then I can show you how I prepare them. All right, here are my pieces of stem. Anything else? No, I think that's it. All right, so I've used the freezer paper on the front. Then it has the fusible paper on the back. So now what I want to show you is I peel off the fusible. I don't even really need this on the front because I've already cut it in the shape of the finished stem and left between 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch to fold it over. So, in fact, what I'm going to do right now is put on one of these little protective cots. I hope this will work. But what I'm going to do is I take and fold up that edge. Fold up that edge like that and crease it with your fingernail so it kind of has been introduced to what it's going to have to do. So what it's going to have to do is be lay there and be pressed, and it will then be fused to itself. So I carefully run this, and you see now why I'm not using my big iron. I'm not that coordinated to do a little tiny edge here. Okay, so see how I folded that under? All right, then I'll start. Whoops, I hope I was showing you that. Let me pull back up. Start back on this side, and I crease it, crease it, crease it. Okay, so I crease this and press this side. Okay. And for some, you don't have to do this if you don't want to, but for some reason, I just wanted my stems not to be raw edged. So Let me pull this up. Okay. The reason sometimes I don't realize I'm out of range is because I'm working on my ironing board, which is I'm facing a different way than my monitor. So, all right. Now, since most of this stem, the fusible, has now been covered by itself, then I come in with some of the tacky glue and I just start running it. Don't use too much. You really don't need to. But I run it down the length of the stem. This. Okay. So now that's the first stem done. And this stem I had it written on the pattern. This stem is third right, or number 3 on the right. Okay, let's see. So that must mean, whoops, number 3 on the right. Stay on page 3, Deb. Okay, must mean here. Yep, and looks like it would fit. Okay, whoops, that's the problem. I should have made the pattern darker. I can see it, but you can't. But this would come up under that flower right there. So it'll come up right there. And it stops right before this leaf. Now, what I started doing with some of the pages up here is making the stem so it can go the whole distance. Now I'm gonna put my finger up here where it's going to stop. And you see. So let me show you. So here is my pattern, making sure it's smooth flat. Always keep smoothing it flat. And bring the stem right up here. Okay. And then just kind of watch the way it goes down the paper onto the pattern. So here's the stem where it's supposed to be and the petals. And then it just runs right along with the pattern. See that? Okay. And then what I can do is I can just iron it just under the golden threads paper. So I know that iron, even though I glued it for the most part, it helps set the glue faster. So now if I peel it back, there is the stem. Okay, so now I'm gonna bring you back up. Bias tape makers, yeah, they're pretty nice. That's pretty nice. I have a set of them. I've just never used them. I tend to sometimes find myself, I am a tactile person and I do it by hand, I guess. But okay, so now we just put this stem in. So now we're going to do these petals. So what I need to find by petals, 324 to 331. Okay, 324 to 331. 326, 334, 321. Or 324 to 331. Now this is 4A, that goes down there. All right, let's see, 329, so that goes here. And this kind of helps you say, yep, I got the right shape. But this is why it was important for me to, and what I did is I just made an extra copy of the pattern of this where I numbered it. And, okay, this is going to go right here. All right, and 328 goes right here. This is real easy. I like it. Okay. 319, nope, not here. All right. 3C, this is going to go, whoops, right down here. Okay, so I've got the 2 leaves right here. And 322. Nope, not this one. 3-1. Let me get them. 331A, I think. Yeah, 331. Okay, there it is. All right. 325 goes right here. And I think I just need 324. Here it is. Okay. 324. So now I've got all of those petals and the 2 leaves. And keep some of these pieces are a little small. So that's why everything's kept in a baggie. So I make sure that I know what I'm using. All right. So I'll put this paper just to the side so it just helps me know. And what I can do now is take the pattern pieces and I'm going to go ahead and take the back paper off and I'm going to place them where it looks like they should be. And that way it makes it easier once I pull the pattern over. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Then 329. Here's an area where I didn't have the sticky. So I'll make sure to glue that once I know right where it goes. This one kind of goes this one kind of goes here. Bring this down just a touch. Okay. And this one's going to go kind of. Hold on. I just want to kind of get them where I think they're going to go. And then when I bring the pattern back, it's going to work. I hope you can hear me, but okay. Let's see. I'm facing away from the camera, so I sometimes get worried. I just went to peel the paper off this one and noticed that the fusible wasn't fully on the fabric. So you just bring it, iron it again, let it cool off a little bit, and then go back in and try it again. And this time, yes, see the shininess? You know it has transferred. All right, so this is 331. This goes way up here. Okay. And this is 330. But you see why marking, it helps you pick out what shade or tone of fabric to choose. And, okay. All right. So I kind of put them close to where I want them. And that way when I pull the pattern, whoops, take the back off. Another one where the tip doesn't have fusible. That's okay. We have glue. All right. Whoops. See how they move around? Goodness gracious. Got it. That's sometimes a little tricky to keep track of all the little pieces. But, all right, so I'm going to lay this out. And this one, to me, this is so much fun to do. And it feels like, even though I put a lot of work into it to this point, it feels like instant gratification. And I love that. So, okay. Now 324 goes up here. All right. Then I'm going to go ahead and put 3C right about where I think it's going to be. So that can be anchored down too. And you'll notice when I take the papers off how I've used some brighter, bolder colors on the flowers. And this leaf is, okay, I used a darker green because it's more in the shade. So now I'm going to bring this back down. And you can see I'm pretty close to where I needed to be. So I'm going to move this up right there. Okay. And real quick, since I know that's in the right place, give it a little tack down. Not a full iron, but a tack down. All right. So I can see that my petals need to go up a little higher. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a pin in. I'm going to put a pin right up here to hold this pattern in place, and then lean this up where I can kind of line up and see where to place these pieces. Okay, so this one, let's see. Oops, that's right. It's already peeled off. Okay, so it goes on top of that stem. It's going to go on top of this. So don't iron the tip down because the stem is going to continue. All right, so I can see exactly where that's lined up, and I think I've got it. Okay, so I'm going to give this a little tack. And the reason you just do the tack down is to keep it from moving, but you still haven't over ironed it so you can shift it. So, all right, I'm going to put this one here. That looks pretty good, so I'm just going to give it a quick little tack. And I'm just judging based on right here where I can see the drawing. Okay, give that a little tack down. Then I bring up this one. And looking to where the tops meet, because some of them are going to come up here. So this one's going to be a little bit further up, making sure the side pieces look like they meet. Okay, just give it a tack. Now I'm going to take the pattern, pull it back, and just looking pretty good. Let me see. This one's a little high. So let me, oh, I had to put that high because the stem ended. So I'm going to leave that right where it is for right now. All right. So then this one, and I'll go back and look at my drawing too. 327. Okay. Wanted to make sure it wasn't supposed to touch the stem, and it's not. Okay. And you can kind of see by the way the petals meet if they're pretty close to where they're supposed to be. So give this a tack. All right. And then this one. Now, this is a little tricky. This is supposed to be covering that stem. Oh, let me, okay. I'll give this a little, supposed to be covering part of that stem. So it does look like I've got this up a little high, but I might have to tweak this just a touch. All right, so now this one's going to go here, and this one can cover the stem partly. Just give it a tack. All right. And 30 comes this way. 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Okay. And this one starts to be pushed back up a little bit. So I'm trying to keep it pretty even with the pattern, but it may just be a touch off. So And as long as that's not going to alter the pattern dramatically, okay. This one's going to be brought up a little bit higher. Okay. Yeah, I think the flower is not, it should be slightly tilted this way, but I don't really think it's going to matter that much. So we'll see. I guess I could always say, I just changed my mind. Okay. Whoops. I'm not. Okay. That should be tacked in place. So now we'll pull this back. And yeah, it ended. That is funny. 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. Yeah, it was supposed to end up over here. Now, I have two ways of dealing with that. One way is just make another petal, because this just did get that stem. So this stem was a little short. I think I'm going to make another petal, and I can do that because this is my piece of art. Okay, I've got to find the right pink, and let me. Okay, here's a good pink. All right. So what I'm going to do then, it's funny, once you cut these out, it's like maybe they shrink a little too when you iron the paper and everything. So this one's going to come up here, and I'm just going to give it a little shape here. Okay. So now I just drew it on. I think I'll make it a little thinner. A little bit thinner. So I'm just going to cut this out like this. And come in here. Okay, here we go. So peel the usable paper off. Okay. And so now I have filled in that space that I was missing because I didn't quite have them lined up. Because if I had moved it, even if I had moved it, it wasn't going to make up the lost space. I'll show you what I mean by that in just a moment. So there we go. Now let's pull the pattern back down, see what we've got. It even then, it was supposed to go up here. So this is looking pretty good. Oh, there's supposed to be a leaf there. Oh, I put that leaf in the wrong place. I sure did. Okay. So I'm going to carefully peel this leaf up. Now, if it left too much of the fusible behind, no problem. I'll just use glue. Okay. So here's this leaf. Let me see where this leaf is supposed to go. It's supposed to go, yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, so that leaf is supposed to go there, at least close enough. So not, it's hard to get. Fabric is a stretchable, movable art form. So it's not like wood, where once you cut it the right size, it stays that size. So it's a little different. Now I'm realizing I have a stem here that I'm going to have to add a piece to because my stem is a little short. I could add another petal, but I don't know how much bigger I want this thing to get. But do you see over here? Let me show you. So I think these things can shrink when you iron them. But see how it's almost in the right place. Well, I had to add this. How come this is so much bigger? And these are all supposed to touch at these certain spots. So it's like each petal just got narrower and narrower. So now let me see. Instead of having to add a little piece of stem, I bet you because I'm the queen of just get it done. I'm going to take and put in just a little bit of a darker, a little piece, a little snippet of a petal right here. And that should take care of the whole problem. And you know what? Good enough is my motto. And because I don't believe in doing anything perfectly, I'm just not wired that way. But I am good at saying, hey, that didn't work. What else can we do? So I just go with what my strengths are. There. Now see, by putting this one in, and when I kind of tuck it under this one that I just tacked in place. There. Okay. That's going to work. All right. That way, it's done. It's done. It is done. And I was noticing, you know how I'm making the decorated beaded. I want to make sure these are really down good. Whoops, come on. Got to be down good. Whoops, I'm having problems getting some of these to stick down. Let me take off the top paper. Anytime you have anything on the fabric, it slows down the heat getting through to the fusible. So let me pull these off. I don't need them anymore. They've already done their job. And once I pull these off, I think I'll have a better, okay. Freezer paper stuck really nice. That was a new roll of freezer paper and it was ready to do its job. Okay. Lift this up. So I think I told you that I didn't do anything more with my rose. And I hope to work on it this coming up week because, you know, I really probably should have finished that before I started this, but I am forever searching for that squirrel. Now I can see where I left a little bit more space here than I should have. So partly the reason they didn't fit, partly was me, and I'll try to push them back a little closer while I still can. I mean, you can always peel this stuff off and do it again. In fact, since these are just tacked, I'm going to come in here. This is why I just tack them until I'm sure I'm happy with it. I used to say, oh, I'll be happy enough. No, 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 do it right. So I'm learning in my old age, just do it right. Okay, so what I'm going to do is iron these down. And be careful when you go different directions with the iron. Sometimes the corner of the iron wants to pull loose on the pull loose in it, one of the underneath background squares. Okay, now this one's going to come right here. And I'm going to get it in pretty up close. Okay, so this, for this to fit, it doesn't go up as tall as the other one, and that's okay. All right. Now see, I'm already, look at how I'm gaining space. So it looks like I wasn't doing a good enough job of getting them in close together. And sometimes the paper on top can get in your way. Pull this one. These petals don't meet along the whole way. They just meet in certain places. So you kind of got to put them in and figure out where it was supposed to meet and where it was supposed to have a little bit of airspace. And luckily, with fabric being bendable and movable, until it's really fused down, you can adjust it. Here, look at this. I'm gaining back that space I lost. Okay. But this, and if this one doesn't stick good enough, then I'll just use a little glue. Okay. But nope, enough of it came up. That's the beauty. Now, uh-oh, that's right. Then I have a short. Well, either way. Okay. Well, obviously, a computer could not put the heart into it that I have, and that's my excuse. I am going to have to take a little piece of fabric here and extend that stem. And since it's just a little piece, I'm not going to bother to tuck it all in. I'm going to just lay it here. Here, put it in place. This is why I keep all my scraps handy. All right, put it in place. Fuse it down really good. There we go. All right, that wasn't so hard. All right, now we'll pull the paper off this leaf down here. Since I only tacked that down. Oh, and I do want to check that on that pattern. Oh yeah, that looks good. That leaf was in perfect place. All right, let me get the paper off of these. The freezer paper really worked. If you ever have a problem getting freezer paper off, you can use a little bit of room temperature tepid water and work on that, but it's usually not too bad. Okay, and then this paper. Let's get this paper off. All right. Come on. I don't have long fingernails right now. I've been working out in the yard too much or working with my flowers. All right, so now it's just a matter of putting these totally down. Now, the one thing you'd have to make sure of too, if you alter the number of petals on this, remember that you've got to make sure then that the cone part of it is going to be wide enough, okay, to cover the top. So, oh, and this one just will stay here. Okay, let me clean this up real quick. All right, I'm going to bring over, these are my cones that I made. And let me get a ruler here. This cone is 2 1/4. Oh yeah, this is going to fit perfectly on this because I'm going to have the beaded cones go on top of this. Okay, that's good. Alrighty, and then this leaf is going to be somewhere in the mix, but I'm not sure. You know what? I'm going to put it back in the baggie. No sense getting anything lost. You see what ends up happening is you end up with all of these scraps and papers, and you've got to be careful because make sure it's nothing that you need. So, okay, let me see. But you can see where sometimes when I touch this, it'll bring up, if my fingernail catches it especially, it will bring up um, some of the edges of the background. That's why you need to then just stitch it. And it's so easy to do. It's just straight stitching, so it's not a worry. All right, what baggie is this? This is my number 3. Yes, this is my number 3. Okay. And then this is number 5. This is number 4. All right. So, and I'm going to put those stems in number 3. These little extra pieces, so if I need to lengthen a stem, I've got it. All right. So, now I'm going to take the pattern, clip it back, and show you what I've got. But you see where I've now used a little darker colors to try to make it show better. Take this pen out here. Oh, good. I love this. It's something just to piddle with. I'm going to go ahead and take the pattern off. It's holding the face. It takes preparation time, but it's oddly soothing. It's kind of, you don't have to stress over it. You've already got them picked out and cut up. And now let me come back to my main camera. And yay. Almost. Okay, so I'm coming back to my main camera and showing you this. So, and once the beaded cones get on here, it's going to be pretty exciting. So I think we're going to like it. But like I told you, I will be outlining the petals because I want them to show up. And I've noticed it's got such a dynamic background that it's hard for them to show up like I'd like them to. So I'm going to just I'm outlining these petals to kind of show you the difference between one half of the flower and the other half. And then I'll hold it up and show you. And I think you can see where that really helps. So, okay. Are we ready? All right. So, here, see this flower right here. This, I did one half. You know what? Let me lay it down here. It's too hard to hold up to get it just right. So let me, okay, come back to my detail, bring my camera down. Here, there it is. Okay, you see this flower? Here's the part I outlined. This is the part without the outline. So, and by the time I do the stitching down, I'm probably going to use a contrasting thread to stitch it down. And then these, just to mimic it, I'm going to use a contrasting thread to do the veining. Because the leaves of this have a lot of definition. That is so light, it's a little bit hard for you to see. but I'm going to have all this outlined too. I'll probably use a dark green thread to do the edge stitching on that. But that's going to be the next step, is to come in. Now I used some fabric that had the stripes on it to kind of give a little shape to that petal, but I'm going to come in with a pink, darker pink thread and just kind of give a little life to these petals. So, but I think you can see that outlining makes a big difference, and I'm going to use a dark green thread on these to make all the veining and really make them pop, look more real. So, okay, so here is the flower we just did, and I'm excited. I just have to finish my 13 rows down here of background, and then, as you can see where I'm coming close, and once I finish the background, then I'll come and fill out all my flower parts. And I showed you how I cut those out using the fabrics with the fusible on back. That's the easiest way, is just having your fabrics already prepared. Then you make a copy of that page number, cut it out, and then you cut it out. Then you iron the freezer paper onto the back fusible back fabric. Make it, and that way it already has the code number on it, so you know exactly where to put it. Okay? I'm hoping this makes sense to you. I hope I'm making it less confusing, especially when you know you can do anything you want to this. Make it your own. And you can use more purpley pink, whatever you want. Do it your own way. And I think it's a lot of fun. And I love how this sparkles. So that part's neat. I do wish I'd made it a little lighter, but I love the sparkle. So, okay. Ah, that's very good. All right. So, and like I said, I have the patterns. In fact, I'm going to show them to you. Okay. No, not detail. Okay. Now let me bring these up. This is the picture I took for the placeholder today. This is the picture I took for the placeholder. All right. And then here are the patterns. And what I do is I always use printer paper for the patterns so that you can print it out, you can tape them together, and you're ready to go. I will go ahead and put the coded papers on the site in the same folder this is in. So then you can also have, you already know where everything goes. Okay? So hopefully that shows you. And when you, and on the site where I have the file folder, I have inspiration photos. I always try to do that. Let me go back one step, because I make sure I have good inspiration photos so that you can really understand what a purple coneflower looks like, so that you can make the best flower that you can, or the best quilt that you can. And these petals have striations in them, so that's where the thread sketching is going to come in. I want to replicate the, now you understand the choice of color beads that I used for my cones. But somebody talked about doing embroidery and French knots and things, and that sounds lovely too. So there's so many ways that you can make this your very own. And that I love. In fact, mine here's a beautiful um, gold finch. And you can, I'm going to put a butterfly on mine and make a butterfly. So, and I use egg cartons and put my little squares in it. Whoops, don't need, I didn't work on that at all. But here is another illustration. And my next, I need to make a few more, quite a few more of those beaded. And I'm going to put just slightly fewer beads because that'll make them come a little bit faster. And if you can see here, you can see that there's kind of an orange with a red tip on it. So that's why I chose the orange and red on a dark background to replicate the cone. So, but see the striations in the petals? So what I'm going to do really quickly is go to show and tell. I just have a few new photos to show you. So let me go back to this and go to this. All right, Miss Bonnie. Okay, she is working on I don't know what you call it, but I would call it a running bond. It is the famous brick pattern, and I love that. So she's been cutting and placing her colors. Love it, love it. I love how she finds something new and interesting and gets right to work. Then this is a beautiful, beautiful, I think it's a horn. Um, and it's a beautiful comb. She does reenacting, and Dan bought her this, and it's beautiful. I love that. And then these are all these. They're they go on as kind of a full apron, and she made these herself for the reenactment group. Pardon me. So I love that, Bonnie. Then Debbie sent, now this is the one I opened first, and I thought, oh, I love the colors. I love I love the cornerstones on point. I mean, it's really beautiful. I wish you could see all the cutting that she did. It is wonderful. And it looks like a French general fabric. It's just beautiful. So I thought this was exquisite. And then I opened the next picture and I got excited all over again. And she is making this wonderful, wonderful pelican. And it's wonderful. And look at how she used dotted fabrics to really make it come to life. I love the water down here. So I can't wait to see this. I think she needs a border on it. I think she said that's what she was getting ready to put on. And it is wonderful. So way to go, Miss Debbie. Way to go. That's beautiful. And let me see. Show and tell. Was there anything else I got new? Let me see. Did Miss Mary send me something? I know she had this beautiful. Look at her plants on her deck. Isn't that wonderful? That's a really nice deck. Whoever built that did a great job. Okay, now, so that was from Miss Mary. And then let me go back here and see. I don't think anybody else, but if you have something you'd like to share with us, we would love it. I do have I did take a few snapshots of my latest plants, and I'll show them to you now. They're growing, but this one has something is eating it, some kind of bug, maybe a slug or something. So I think I'm going to have to rescue it. Whatever is eating the sweet potato vine here is doing it. All right, then, okay. This petunia, this picture I was shooting into the sun, but this petunia is doing so beautifully. I love wave petunias. So Mary's flowers are gorgeous. She takes such good care of hers. And here is a new bird bath I put out in the yard. It's made of resin, so it was light and easy to handle. Looks like I need to clean the water in it, but I have all these pots and things are growing pretty good now that I'm keeping the deer away. So, and this is from my front porch. This is a dragon wing begonia. I love these things. I tried this one, I wintered over, and so it is huge. And then caladiums are my favorite thing. They're so easy and they're just, I mean, just a joy. My roses, the deer left them alone long enough to have them bloom. And then here is a little brief video. I thought it was much easier than taking a bunch of little. Here are my house plants back here that are wintering outside. And I've had to repot several pots because the squirrels get into them. Oh, I see right there a squirrel got into a little additional one I had out there. But I need Miss Mary to come and make my deck as pretty as hers. The one thing is we need to repair the deck because we've been here 17 years. So it's time. Okay. So there is, let me get that. Okay, good. All right, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to show you, let me move this. I'm going to show you what we did at that class. And I tell you what, it is really very, even though I'm still getting over being, sick, it is very nice to be able to take a class from home. I found my glue top, so now I can put that on there. All right, get this out of the way. And, okay. All right. All right. Here is the stuff from my class. All right, here we go. This teacher was very organized and she loves doing fantasy things. She's a true artist, loves color, loves pattern design, everything. Very talented woman. And she had the cutest sprite voice. I kept thinking her voice really reminds me of um of her being such an artist. It was great. Okay. So, she had bags like this had Angelina fiber in it. She had a wonderful, whoops, this camera's at an odd angle, so she had a wonderful handout, and I've got Lutradur, Tyvek, Totally Stable, were all the different, she sent us a kit. We paid for it, but she sent us a kit of all the things. And then there's this wonderful handout. This had Angelina fiber in it. This is called iridescent cracked ice. And if you use the heat gun on it, it accentuated. It was less flat. This is cellophane. And what she did, it has to be true cellophane. What she did is she had painted a white iridescent paint on top, and then she taught us how to take the heat gun and shrivel it up, and boy, does it look like waves. Here is tulle drawn up by the heat gun. So what she did, and the reason I wanted to take this class, is she taught us to look at materials differently. Look at these shears. She gave us a whole pack of shears. And I've just started to work through and look at the shears. This is a crystal organza and just beautiful. Now, I think it's this kind of shear you cannot use a heat gun on. So you have to know what is safe and what isn't. And the shears all go in this bag. So she had everything so organized, so beautifully marked. And whoop, there's another shear. And she had different kinds of fusible kind of things. So we could, like this was a Misty Fuse or something like that was the name. So it was, she really outdid herself, I've got to tell you. Very organized teacher, great teacher. And in the 6 hours, she had us get to where we all had a piece of art when we were done. And this is mine. This right here, this is a piece of muslin that she used a certain kind of puffy paint that when you use the heat gun with it, it puffs up. So it makes the most realistic looking rocks. I mean, look at these. It just depends on how you paint them. She also used that puffy paint on the tree. She actually did the tree, and she put the puffy paint on the rocks, and we did the painting of them. And then this, I'm trying to think, was this Luchador? I forget what this was. I've got to go back and read. And she had us paint it with jacquard fabric paints, and then we tore it. She wanted us to tear it to make the leaves for the top of the tree. Then she taught us how to paint a forest background for this, and this is all fantasy. So she wanted us to have floral fabric that we could make look like a little thing. Then, besides doing the puffy paint that swells up when you heat it with a heat gun, she had us take a piece of postal Tyvek. She said, don't use the house wrap Tyvek because that has chemicals in it to keep out mold and mildew and insects, and you don't want to heat that up where you can breathe it. This is the postal Tyvek. She had us do some painting on this, then hit it with the heat gun, and look, the way it bubbles up, it gives very realistic rocks. And the best thing about these materials is you can sew through them. So this is what we ended. I'm trying to, let me come down at an angle. Let me turn on this light. Okay. I'm going to come down at an angle because what I'm working on now, this is the cellophane that I melted right here. Then here, I've got too much of this on. So I didn't know, I thought, oh, maybe we're supposed to use the whole baggie full. But it made my waterfall a little too sparkly. I mean, I like fantasy, but it was a little too fantasy. But luckily, I can pull off the excess because what she gave us to start with for the waterfall was a polyester roving. See it right there? It's like soft. Whoops, I wasn't showing you all of it. It's like a soft fibers roving. And we started with that. And then she had a little piece of Misty Fuse that we put on top of that roving. And then we laid the Angelina fibers on it. And yeah, let me pull off some of this extra. I think it's looking better already. See how now you can see some of it? It's not quite so glittery. And you don't need to use every bit of what's in the package. And but she had a pattern for us, and um, then we took some fabric just to make some rocks. But then these are between Tyvek. So I think these are Tyvek. I'm not sure. This might, I think it's Tyvek. And these are the muslin with the puffy paint painted on. So what I still have left to do is arrange, like this is a beautiful sheer blue. Then there's some other, she had something that you take and you heat up and it becomes like lacy. And we use that. Here is some of the tulle that I heated up that I'm acting like is water splashing up against a rock. And I'm going to put some over here, I think, or maybe right here. But I'm just starting to play with diffusibles and on top of all of this. But I thought, how cool is that? Sure, absolutely. And since I have the handout, I can give you a list of just what you would use. But it was fun. It was playtime. I told her I felt like I was in school again in art class. You know how you just have fun and can't wait to do the next step? So, but see, I'm going to make these make ripply looking areas coming out, and she had some of this up against the rock, and I thought, oh, that was so cool. So I just thought I would show you. We got all of this done in 6 hours. She was so organized. It was amazing. And we would paint some of the things and then put them on a cookie tray and set them aside to dry while we went to the next subject. So I highly recommend, let me give you her name. Her name is Linda Schmidt. Linda Schmidt. And she's in California. She's in California, Dublin, California. And she does classes out there. And she also has classes online. Now, the supply she gave us totally stable, Luchador, Tyvek, iridescent cracked ice, cellophane, sheer fabrics needed, puff paint tree and rocks, Angelina fiber fabric paints, Shiva paint. I didn't have the paint sticks. She even used metallic paint powders, which I guess I have some of the mica. Whoops, sorry. That's gonna make you ill. Come on, camera. It's like, nope, I'm tired of focusing. But she said metallic paint powders, which I'm gonna try some of my mica. And you can paint something and then sprinkle the powder on top or mix it in to then heat gun. Now she cut some of her shears with a wood burning tool. So that was really cool. But her name is Linda Schmidt and she has online classes, some that'll go like for 6 weeks. So I think that she was a very successful teacher and I'm really yeah, I'm so much more pleased with that waterfall now that I took the excess Angelina. A little bit of Angelina goes a long way. So anyway, all right. So we'll have to try something like this at some time and just but know that all of this can be sewn down, all of the rocks and everything. And I've sewn the top pieces into place. But you can decide whether when you quilt it, whether the sewing around the rocks and stuff is part of your quilting, or whether you want to get those sewn down first and then carefully just quilt in the spaces between. And she said, when you quilt the waterfall, it really will pop. So I think that's awesome. And this is not a very good picture of hers, but I'm sure if you go to her website is right here. Okay. Short attention span quilting.com. Is that the cutest? Short attention span quilting.com. That's her website. And please feel free to tell her I sent you. And it was a whole lot of fun. I'm going to hold this up with the main camera. But who would have thought Tyvek could make a wonderful rock? So, I know I want to tell you something. She used a piece of Steamosine 2. She cut it to the rough shape of a top of a tree. then cut these little spaces out. And then what you do is you cut up a lot of different colors of fabric that you want for the top of your tree, whether fall or spring or summer. You cut them up to confetti. You peel off the protective paper, leaving the sticky behind. You drop the confetti all over this. Then you put a non-stick piece of parchment paper or something that won't stick. I don't know if parchment paper would be the right one. A lot of times if you use just the paper that came off of the steam machine tube, but you iron down the confetti and it looked pretty darn good. And then what you do is any confetti that's covering the little slits you can take and cut out. But try that. That to me was more successful than the way we used to do some kind of pressing powder over it. And I didn't think that worked that good. But you could have a confetti tree just with a piece of steam machine. So how nice is that? All right, let me hold this up and then I think we're ready to say goodbye. I made it to 5 already. All right, let me come back to the main. Thank you for everyone who came to visit today. And it's starting screen. Nope, main. Okay, come on, Deb. Yay, I'm back. So I'm just going to hold this up for you to see. But it is so much fun, and to she encouraged us to put our own touch on it, do our own thing. And so I think that's just wonderful. I loved it. And I think I'm going to do a facing on this instead of having any kind of border. She used some really cool ribbon around hers as a border because she said when she travels to teach the class, it's hard to carry framed work. So she framed it with ribbon. So, and it was like an inch and a quarter ribbon, something like that. So there it is. And I think it's definitely better with the excess Angelina off. But what what a lot of fun. And like I tell you, the class fee becomes so much smaller when you realize that if you traveled, if you stayed in lodging and meals and being able to sit at home with all your own supplies, because there were things I had to go and find, and I was right here with all of my stuff. So it's really nice. There's going to be another Mancuso virtual schoolhouse coming up in October. They've just opened it. So if you go to the Mancuso website, I try to take a class every time they offer it because it's such a wonderful Mancuso and it's Mancuso quilt shows. If you type that in your Google machine, it will bring you up to the whole site. So, and the Mancusos are a wonderful family. They put on quality quilt shows. Mid-Atlantic Quilt Show, there's a good number that they do. All right. So are there any Oh, you have Japanese beetles? You know, I've been lucky not to see any, but I had them in Maryland. I used to get those traps that caught them down in the bag, and it worked. They really worked. It's kind of gross when you have to take the bag and throw it away, but it works. So, okay. I am going to go get in my hammock and take a break. But this is wonderful. So, okay, yeah, and I will show you some of those techniques coming up because I love to share that stuff with you. So, I hope you have a great weekend. And thank you, Brenda. You're such a sweetheart. And like I say too, I put my website on the chat. I mean, my email address on the chat so that if you want any of the free patterns or you have any questions, I love answering them. I feel like in another life, I was a teacher because if I can share information to help you, I love it. Makes me happy. All right, everybody. Have a great 4th of July. Do it your own way. Put your own stamp on it and keep cool and safe. And I'll probably be here next Sunday too. But I hope you have a good week and do something special just for you. Even if you just make a little mosaic, just a little thing to try it. It's a lot of fun. It's very addictive. All right, take good care and happy birthday to our Susan. And I love that our Bonnie put that on our Groups IO site so we wouldn't forget Miss Susan. All right, everybody, take good care of yourself, and I'll see you next week. All right, bye bye, everybody. You are the best. Oh, you're such a sweetheart. You are good for my soul, Miss Mary.